Hey everybody, we're back. It's Ruminate. I'm here with Robb Lewis, and we've been off for a while. Robb, I mean, how were your holidays?
Yeah, it was really good. It's been 4 weeks since we recorded.
Yeah,
So yeah, we've had Christmas, New Year. Me and you have bought everything, I think, based on
right.
the show notes.
You would have thought that we were relaxing and taking it easy, but what we're really doing is we're shopping the entire time. And the reason we have a podcast is so that we don't shop constantly. Instead, we spent 4 weeks buying a bunch of gadgets, which we're going to talk a little bit about today.
And if we hadn't bought anything, I don't know what we'd talk about. So perfect.
Right. That's why we do it. We do it for the people. So I want to start with and talk to you about a new phone you got, because I want to rewind before we even get there, though, and remind everybody when you got your Android phone. Because what was it, September maybe or August?
It was October. I think it was the middle of October. I got the OnePlus.
And the OnePlus is from what was it? It's remind everybody what a OnePlus is, because I know what it is, but it's been a while since we talked about it.
Yeah, so it's the OnePlus 3 that I had. OnePlus is the manufacturer. 3, it's their third. I think it's actually their fourth model of phone, but we won't get into their naming scheme. And it was a pretty good Android phone. I mean, it's half the price of kind of the premium like iPhone and Google Pixel price range.
And it had crazy fast charging, right?
Yeah, it's got fast charging. It's got 6 gig of RAM. Really nice screen. It was a really good phone until 4 days ago.
Right. Fast forward just 2 months, and now you've got a new phone. Explain to me what happened.
Yeah, so OnePlus had promised that they would release their Android N update by the end of the year. And they released it on the 31st of December. Now, I don't know whether they'd always planned it to be that day or whether they rushed it out. But I installed it a couple of days later, and all I had was constant crashes on my phone, like every hour or two.
Wow, sounds like they might have rushed it out just to meet their self-imposed deadline.
Yeah, it certainly sounds like it. And to be honest, I was pretty annoyed about it because, from everything I'd read about people who own OnePluses and stuff, like the company's really good and, they don't just rush updates out. Like that was specifically something I'd read. Apparently their software's really good, which it had been up until this point. But to be honest, I was just kind of annoyed, and I'd felt like I'd bought into their phone and their ecosystem, and it just wasn't quite what I was expecting.
Right.
Of course, Apple have messed up OS updates in the past. iOS 7 was particularly bad, and, there's been some other ones. Mm-hmm. But the crashes I was having on my OnePlus, it would lock up, maybe every 10 minutes or so, and I'd have to restart it sometimes.
Even when you weren't doing anything with it?
Yeah, like sometimes I'll listen to a podcast while I'm, just before I go to sleep, and I'll just have it on like a 10-minute sleep timer.
Right.
And it would just lock up, and I'd have to restart it. So yeah, I wasn't even really doing anything with it, and it would just lock up. And then when I did get the Pixel, and I plugged it in to do the data transfer, which we'll get to in a minute, the OnePlus locked up again, and just basically crashed, so I had to kind of restart it and do it again.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. Is there any way to roll it back, or is this like a widespread problem, or was it kind of unique to your phone? Do you know?
Well, there were a lot of problems with the update. There was a thread on the Reddit, on the subreddit for OnePlus, which had something like 800 comments about various different problems.
Oh, wow.
Like big problems as well, like people's phones weren't working, or, the screen was black and white. There were a lot of different problems. I didn't see anybody specifically with my problems. But to be honest, I'd been eyeing the Pixel anyway, and this was just kind of a push to do that.
Yeah, no, I remember the Pixel came out almost immediately after you got your phone, right?
Yeah, I did wait until the Pixel was announced before I bought the OnePlus.
Right.
But I went with the OnePlus because it was cheaper, and I wasn't sure if I was going to like Android or not, or if I was going to, switch back to iOS. So it was always kind of part of the plan that maybe I would get rid of it and get a Pixel. But to be honest, at this point, I was planning on maybe waiting until September to see if they released a second Pixel, like a new version.
Right.
But to be honest, this just kind of pushed me over the edge, and I ordered one on next day delivery.
Oh, that's cool. I mean, so I guess you concluded that Android was, you liked Android enough to stick with it, but not so much. But this wasn't the phone.
Yeah, pretty much. In the same way, that the iPhone 7 or the 7 Plus, that's like the best iPhone you can get right now. I feel like the Pixel, from everything I've read and seen, is the best Android phone you can get. So I kind of just wanted to, if I was going to get another phone, I just wanted to kind of jump to whatever the best is, and just deal with it.
So you got that, when did it come? Like Thursday or Friday?
It came on Friday, so I've had it 2 days now.
Yeah, your delivery guy Simon came in and came through for you again, right?
Yeah, it's exactly the same guy that's delivered my iPhone in the past. I think he's delivered 2 different iPhones to me. I kind of checked my tweet archive, and I could see tweets from like a year and a half ago, and then like 2 years previous to that.
Yeah, I remember some of your Simon tweets when you tweeted that. I definitely remembered that was the same guy that you had other things delivered by. That's funny. So how do you like it so far?
Yeah, I really like it. I mean, in terms of build quality, it's pretty much exactly the same as an iPhone 7, or a 7 Plus. It's a lot lighter than a 7 Plus, which is really strange because they're basically the same size. But yeah, in terms of build quality, it feels the same. It's kind of weird because the volume buttons are on the same side as the lock button. So they're all on the right-hand side. There's no buttons on the left-hand side at all. So I find myself keep reaching round to the left to do the volume, and there's no buttons there. I have to kind of move my thumb down to do volume, but it's just something I get used to.
Right. Well, that's good. Any problems with the software so far?
No, it's been completely solid. As I mentioned a minute ago, the first thing you can do this like transferring thing that they do now. So you can plug in. You can either do it from an iPhone, which I haven't tried because I didn't have one around. But I basically took the USB-C to USB-C cable, plugged my OnePlus in, plugged it into the Pixel, and it just asked me if I wanted to transfer everything. And yeah, it transferred over all my settings and apps and app data and all of that kind of stuff, probably within about half an hour.
Oh, that's nice. I wish we had something like that for the iPhone, where you didn't have to do a backup that was either coming down from the cloud or off of iTunes. It would be nice if you just had a cable to cable solution like that, and it feels like the kind of thing that should exist by now.
Yeah, definitely, and the experience, like the the user interface for it and everything, it was very clear exactly what it was doing. On the phone that you're transferring from, it pops up a list, and you can choose to not transfer certain apps, or don't transfer photos, or the calls list, or messages, things like that. So you do get a lot of options to what you can and can't transfer.
Okay. So now that I know we talked about some of the apps and stuff you were looking at in the past, but now that you've been using Android for a couple of months solid now, what are your 2 or 3 most used apps that are comparable to something you used to use on an iPhone?
Yeah, so I mean, I pretty much use it the same as I always did my iPhone. Twitter, I'm using Phoenix, which is one of the ones I was trying out originally. I really like it. It works. It does everything I need it to. It gets regular updates and stuff like that. And I mean, Reddit, again, I found an app that was pretty much the same as Narwhal, which is what everybody seems to agree is the best one on iOS.
That's cool.
Yeah, and then of course I've switched over to things like Google Inbox, which is a really nice email app. But as I say, for the most part, I think we've spoken about this before, I don't use my phone for a lot of things. But the things that I do use it for, I want those to work really well.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. I mean, I think the thing that for me that's been the biggest difference with the iPhone 7 Plus, which I don't hear people talk about a lot, is the battery life. I feel like it's a lot better than my old 6S Plus, and that makes a big difference for me because I feel like I really burn through the battery quite a bit, a lot of days when I'm commuting into Chicago and things like that, and doing all sorts of things on my phone. I mean, sometimes going through the App Store and pushing things with workflow into Trello and back and forth. I mean, I do a lot of crazy stuff on my phone some mornings, and it can tend to burn the battery down pretty quickly. But the iPhone 7 Plus hasn't been a problem so far, and it's I guess it's not been super long yet. It hasn't been long enough for the battery to really start degrading all that much, but it definitely feels as though it's doing a better job of managing its power consumption than my old phone.
Yeah, definitely. Jess has got the 7 Plus as well, and she's seen kind of the same thing because she plays a lot of games on her phone, and she'd have to charge it 2 or 3 times a day with her old 6 or 6S, whichever one she had. But with the 7 Plus, I mean, she doesn't have to charge it anywhere near as much, which is really nice.
Yeah, games are definitely a good test of that because especially, I'll tell you, a lot of times if it's something built on Unity or one of those other game engines, those, for whatever reason, those tend to really burn down the battery very quickly.
Yeah, definitely. We got a couple of questions about the Pixel.
Oh, yeah.
2 of them are kind of a similar question. Brian and Dan both asked about the fingerprint scanner, which on the Pixel is on the back. In kind of a similar place where you'd get the Apple logo on the iPhone.
Right.
So there's no fingerprint scanner on the front. It has that big chin, but there's nothing actually on there. And they were both kind of asking like if I'd got used to it or how it differs. And to be honest, by at this point, and it's only been 2 days, but I've really just got used to it already. If I take it out my pocket, I just make a point of kind of putting my finger there as I take it out my pocket, so it's already unlocked.
Can you record several fingers like you can on an iPhone, or is it just one particular finger?
Yeah, you can still do multiple fingers. So I've got both my index fingers, just those 2 to be honest. Because one of the features I like about Android, which kind of answers Brent's question, which was what's my favourite feature that's not on the iPhone. I can give it trusted areas or trusted devices. So if I'm connected to my Echo, it keeps my phone unlocked. So I don't have to put my passcode in. I can just swipe up from the home screen, like the lock screen. So it's not expecting a fingerprint or a passcode or anything. I can just basically keep it unlocked when I'm at home.
Oh, that's nice, especially since obviously your Echo is at home. That's effectively the same as geo-locating your phone at home so that you don't have to use a passcode when you're at your house. Yeah,
exactly. And it does do both. You can do trusted places as well. So I have work set as a trusted place because there's only a few of us. I trust my co-workers. But yeah, that's a really nice feature to just okay, I'm at home. My phone isn't locked, so if Jess needs to grab something or needs to look at something, she can just unlock it without having to know my PIN code or put fingerprints in the settings.
Yeah, no, that would be nice. I would really like to have something like that on the iPhone. Well, that's cool. Did you get any other questions, or is that about it in terms of questions?
No, it was just those. As I say, Brian and Dan's were kind of similar questions about the fingerprint scanner. But yeah, I've got used to that really quickly. Actually, every now and again I still try and go for the bottom of the phone in the center.
Yeah,
but I'm sure ask me again in 2 weeks, and I'm sure I won't have been doing that again.
Yeah, I can see the middle of the back being an okay place for it, just because you dip your hand into your pocket to pull it out, and your hand is one of your fingers is probably going to be somewhere near the center middle of the back of the phone if you do kind of the screen in thing that a lot of people do.
Yeah, definitely. And one of the other nice things about it being on the back is you can swipe down on it to get notifications to come down. So I can swipe my finger over the scanner, and it will just bring down the notification. I don't know what it's called on Android, but your notifications and stuff like that from the top of the screen.
Oh, that sounds cool. So we probably ought to move on because we actually have a list of other stuff that we wanted to kind of talk about that we've been trying out. And one of them is I'm talking to you from a brand new MacBook Pro. I got a 13-inch MacBook Pro, kind of fully loaded for that model, mainly because of weight more than anything else, and the fact that I want to be able to use the touch bar when I'm reviewing software that uses the touch bar, because it's very hard to have anything to say about it if you can't try it, notwithstanding the simulators you can get that will work on a Mac screen. So I picked that up. I got it right between Christmas and New Year's. It finally showed up.
So you've had it, a week or so, maybe a little bit longer now. How much are you using the touch bar? Beyond things like play and pause, because I guess, you obviously are going to use that anyway.
Right. So far, not a lot, but also I have not been working a lot over the last couple of weeks. I mean, I took it pretty easy between Christmas and New Year's. So I haven't been doing much other than setting this up, because I did what I do with phones, which is set it up fresh as a new computer. I didn't do any kind of transfer of files or anything like that. So instead, I just set it up, and it, that takes forever. I mean, it's as painful as that can be with an iPhone. It's much more painful with the Mac, I think, because you've just got so many settings, and maybe you have Hazel rules or keyboard Maestro things or scripts or whatever it is you have. I think there's more room on a Mac for little customizations that people have, and I'll every time I think I've got everything set up the way I want it, I'll find 2 or 3 more things that I haven't done yet, and have to go back and set those up. Plus, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's one of the problems I always have, and I do the same as you with Macs. I will set them up fresh, and I think one of the biggest problems is that there's not one central place to get apps. So obviously you've got the App Store where you'll get your standard apps that are available there. But then, as you say, you've got something like Hazel, which maybe you didn't buy from the App Store if it's available, or, as you say, you've got scripts and all this kind of setup. It definitely takes a lot longer to get a MacBook set up.
Yeah, I'd say my apps were probably about 50-50 between the Mac App Store and off the Mac App Store. So it took a while to do all that. And then, there's all the email accounts and all the other things you have to log into. So I haven't used the Touch Bar a lot, but I have really enjoyed having the Touch ID. It works a lot faster to unlock your computer than something like the Apple Watch, which I do use too, but I like the ability to put my index finger on there, either to unlock my computer or buy something online.
Yeah, it's definitely something I'm interested in, and I think I'll probably, hopefully they'll update it this year, give it a bump, or, version 2 or something like that, probably towards the end of the year if they do, and I might get one then. You got AirPods to go with this lovely new MacBook as well?
I did. Those actually showed up first. Those showed up, I don't know, maybe a week after we last recorded, so right before Christmas time. And they are by far the best Bluetooth headphones I've ever used. I've been using Bluetooth headphones for at least a few years now, and these pair more quickly. The switching devices is finally not a hassle, which is probably the biggest thing, because I just would have Bluetooth headphones that I would use with my iPhone, and I would hardly ever switch them to a Mac or my iPad or anything else, just because it was so difficult to get them to unpair with one thing and then pair with another without a lot of flipping switches and repairing and all that kind of thing. Instead, the AirPods, they take whatever your Bluetooth pairing credentials are, and they get synced over iCloud, and they're available on whatever devices you use. So I've had no problems at all with moving from one to the other, and I've been amazed at the range. We live in a 2-story house with a basement, and I can put my phone like upstairs in the kitchen, which is kind of in the middle of the house, and walk pretty much anywhere upstairs, downstairs, and there's very few places where the audio starts dropping out, whereas with Bluetooth headphones, just kind of leaving the room, they would start cutting out on me. So the range is pretty incredible. The battery life is great. I do have a lot of anxiety about losing my my case because part of they're so convenient to use now, and they're so I use them a lot more than I ever did any other Bluetooth headphones. So I use them in a lot more context than I would with my old Bluetooth headphones. So that as a result, I find myself leaving the case with the AirPods in it all over the house and in different pockets and different places that I know I'm just going to lose them at some point.
Yeah, it's interesting. The main feature, and I think I said this on Twitter, like the fact that you can switch between different devices so quickly is like the key feature of AirPods. Everything else, like the little charging case, the fact that they're just buds that are wireless, that can be done by other manufacturers reasonably easily if they wanted to. But
right.
The pairing and switching between, an iPhone and a Mac and an iPad or whatever, that's something you're only going to get out of the AirPods.
Right. And I was going to say that the fact that you can pull one out to pause is just brilliant because, if I'm sitting around the house and using regular headphones and someone in my family wants to talk to me, it's like, all right, fumble for the phone, fumble for pause, pull the headphones completely off my head. Instead, I pull one bud out and I can hear someone, which is really a lot easier and faster.
Yeah, I'm kind of eyeing them. I mean, I'm probably not going to get them because I don't get a lot of the benefit from them using Android. Did you see the review that I think it was Android Central did for the AirPods?
No, I didn't see that.
And they tentatively kind of recommended them to Android users, and the comments were just a complete mess. The review seemed perfectly reasonable. Like, basically they were saying, look, these work really well with Android if you're just looking for a pair of Bluetooth headphones that have got decent battery life, and I think the pausing and stuff still works because that's all done on proximity. But yeah, that was pretty funny to see an Android site reviewing them and actually recommending them.
Yeah, the other thing that works really well is the microphone. I've only gotten one phone call while I was using them, and I was amazed because I don't know, you see people. This should be a lesson to all those people who talk to their phones like it's a slice of pizza, because the microphone's way up by your ear because the little stem coming out of the earbuds is not very long. But it's perfectly good. I mean, everybody, the person I was talking to had no problem hearing from me, and I actually talked on a FaceTime call the other day with Federico, and he was using his AirPods to talk to me, and I couldn't tell. I mean, it was perfectly clear.
Yeah, it's really good. It's actually something I've noticed with the Jaybird X2s that I've got. The microphone is terrible. If somebody phones me and I've got those on, I just don't answer the call and I wait until I take them off.
Right. I mean, that's another little hassle of Bluetooth headphones that I used to do the same kind of thing where the phone call would come in. You're like, okay, quickly open up your phone, switch the input from the Bluetooth headphones to the phone, pull out one of the one of the buds out of your ear and hold the phone up to your head, because using the microphone was not very good. And I think, do you do the Jaybirds where you have kind of the strap behind your neck?
Yeah, I haven't I haven't like clipped it up or anything.
Yeah.
I kind of it's so that I can basically take them out and leave them like hanging around my neck. But yeah, I do have them behind my head.
Right, which I think is part of the issue, because I think those don't they have the microphone next to the controls kind of on the strap?
Yeah, they do. So I think part of it is that. But yeah,
it's partly behind.
It's just not a very good microphone, I don't think.
Right, and it's slightly behind your head, which can't help either.
No, definitely not.
Yeah. So, all right, it's your turn. What? Tell me about your new. Is it a backpack or a shoulder bag or what?
It's a shoulder messenger bag type thing. I'd been in the market for a new bag for a while because I did have a Timbuktu messenger bag, and I've had that about 6 years, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And it was great when I got it because it was when I was at university and I had a lot of stuff to carry around. But now I'm just go to work or whatever. I don't need a bag that's quite as big. And then I saw Forgotten Tao tweeted that he'd bought this bag and he'd done a load of research and this was the best bag. So I just trusted him and ordered it. And yeah, it's a really nice bag. As I say, it's pretty small. Like, you can't get too much in there. It's got a little laptop slot and it's got a few pockets and stuff. But yeah, it's perfect for what I need.
Now you're keeping us in suspense. You got to tell us what the bag is.
Of course I have. Do you know what? It's because I was reading it on the show notes and forgot we hadn't actually said it. So it's the Book Shadow. Book is a company. I think I had a MacBook case from them a long time ago. But they're really good quality. They're reasonably priced. It's not too expensive.
Yeah, they've been around for a long time, and I've looked at them from time to time, and I don't know why I've never gotten one, but I've always been kind of impressed with, the options that they have, both in terms of, because they're designed specifically for Apple products, which is nice because if you've got an Apple laptop, it'll fit perfectly in there.
Yeah, definitely. And I wanted something that would fit a 15-inch, because I think I'm probably going to get a 15-inch laptop next year, or I guess this year now. But even with the 13 that I've got right now, it's not sliding around too much or anything. It's it's a really good bag.
No, that's good. I had it's funny because my current messenger bag is a Timbuktu, like your old one, and it was designed for a 13-inch, probably I've had it for a while, so it was definitely before the last. It was at least 3 generations ago, so it was built for kind of a thick 13-inch. And when I got my 15-inch Retina MacBook Pro, it fit in there barely, but it was really snug. And now this new 13-inch fits perfectly in there. I mean, that's one thing I forgot to mention, was that what's amazing to me about this computer is how light it is. It almost feels like a toy. It's it's only 3 pounds, which is 1 pound more than the combination of an iPad Pro and a smart keyboard. So it feels a lot like it used to be when deciding whether to carry my 15-inch MacBook Pro or my iPad. There was a huge difference in weight, because I think that weighed maybe around 5 pounds, I want to say, as opposed to 2 for the iPad combo. And now the difference is so slight that it's really not that noticeable to me.
Yeah, it's really light. There's a guy at work that's got one, and yeah, it's amazing that they've been able to make it even smaller, but kind of keep the screen size, and the keyboard is still a reasonable size.
Yeah, and it's a big switch for me moving to a 13-inch, and I haven't done anything yet with it that requires a lot of screen real estate. I haven't used Logic or Xcode or anything yet, so it remains to be seen. Jury's still out on that as to whether that it ends up feeling like a hassle. But I can see myself at some point wanting to get an exterior monitor, external monitor for this, so I can do some work like that without feeling a little cramped.
Yeah, that'd probably be good. So you've bought another Apple product.
Yeah, I pent up demand for sure. One of the things I'm doing this year at Mac Stories is writing a lot about health and fitness apps, and kind of a big overarching project that I've been developing over the last few weeks. And I think central to that for me is going to be using the Apple Watch. And I like my original Apple Watch, but with WatchOS 3, it was running out of battery like 7 or 8 o'clock at night many days, especially if I had any kind of workout on there. It would run out of battery. So I went out and got myself I got a little money at Christmas time, and I went out and bought myself an Apple Watch Series 2. It's really, in some ways, it's a weird purchase because it feels just like the old one. It doesn't really do anything that the old one doesn't do. Obviously it's swim proof, but I haven't gone swimming. It's got GPS, which I think probably helps it track a little better, but it's been so cold here, I haven't really been outside running or anything like that. So it hasn't changed, other than the fact that when I go to bed now, maybe 10, 11 o'clock at night, oftentimes I'll have 40% battery life or more. And I could probably if I had to, I could probably get through 2 days on the same battery life. So the battery life is huge.
Yeah, it definitely seems like, as you say, it's kind of a weird one because it's basically the same thing. But, with battery life and GPS, if it's the kind of things that you're interested in, it's obviously definitely worth the upgrade.
And that's one of the things that was killing the battery before is that the workout, when you're doing any kind of workout on the Apple Watch, it does really grind the battery down because it's doing your taking your pulse a lot more regularly, and it's just doing more things, and it tends to really chew up the battery. And what I've been doing is using my walks down to the train station as walking workouts, which I wouldn't do before because I knew that I'd get to work and my battery would already be at like 70% or something like that, and I'd have to charge it at work, and it was just a hassle. So now I feel like I can pretty much start a workout any time of day, whether it's just a walk, a half-mile walk to the train or something, or whether it's exercising at home or something like that.
Yeah, it sounds really good. As you say, it's nice that you can actually use the features all the time rather than like making a conscious effort to kind of make a decision, oh, I'm walking now, but then I don't want to kill the battery and stuff like that.
Right, I don't have to think about it as much, and that's good because one of the things I'm doing is I'm testing out a bunch of Apple Watch apps. So I'm fiddling with the watch a lot more, and just lighting up the screen that often tends to run down the battery as well.
Cool. Should we talk a little bit about gaming?
We should definitely talk about gaming.
You got something else? I think I remember you mentioned this probably on another show just before Christmas, but you've got a PSVR now.
Yeah, I got that for my kids for Christmas, and well, I suppose it's also for me as well on some level. I haven't played it a lot, but it's a lot of fun. I mean, it's a great experience. I really like Job Simulator. That's probably my favorite game so far. My kids talked me into playing some horror game on the demo disc that freaked me out. I almost put my head in through the ceiling.
Sure.
Because you see these creatures show up on like over your shoulder, and that was pretty terrifying the first time it happened. But it's a lot of fun. The game experiences aren't as deep or as rich as something a regular PS4 game like Uncharted or something along those lines. But they are a lot of fun, and you really do kind of get very quickly get lost in the whatever the world is that you're in. And Job Simulator, you're just doing things like they give you tasks to do, and you're doing things in an office or in a convenience store, and a customer comes up, you can throw a hot dog at them, and I don't know. It's just
I've worked retail, John. I know how it works.
I'm that guy who throws the hot dogs at the customers.
Sure.
It's just feels good to do once in a while.
Yeah, it's definitely something I'm keeping an eye on. I think I'm probably going to wait, either to a version 2 or until the price drops a little bit more. But I'm definitely interested in it.
Yeah, it's really cool. I haven't tried this, but my kids have, and I've watched a little bit because you can watch someone doing it on the TV screen. You don't get the same experience, but there is a PSVR level or component to Star Wars Battlefront, and you get to fly an X-wing in battle, and it looks really cool. That's really neat.
Well, that just sounds really cool, and maybe I want to order one now.
It's a lot of cords. I'll tell you, it's a lot of cords. This is not the one of the problems with this, I think, is it's not the kind of thing you would want to have necessarily in your living room where you have snaking cords all over the room. But we've got it down in the basement, and so it doesn't really matter. It's out of the way. It's out of sight. It's not like people tripping over cords as they pass through the room every day. We can just kind of keep it down there, and it's not too much trouble.
Yeah, so talking of Star Wars, I played Lego Force Awakens over the holidays. And I don't know if you've played any of the Lego games, but this is easily one of the best Lego games.
Oh, really? I have played them, but not in quite a while.
Yeah, this is a really, really good one. I mean, I think it's the combination of the fact that, it's the newest one anyway, and just all the features that Star Wars affords, because you can, you've got flying around in an X-Wing, as you said about the PSVR, you've got lightsabers, you've got guns, you've got loads of different environments. So yeah, I played this probably for like 3-4 days straight, 6-8 hours a day, and actually did some damage to my hand, I think. But yeah, it's definitely worth it. I mean, it's been out a year or so now, so it's pretty cheap anyway. I think you can pick it up for like $15-$20 or something like that. But yeah, this is a really, really good Lego game.
I would think that the Lego games would be really good for VR because one of the things is that they've got to keep a really high frame rate so people don't feel ill, and as a result, sometimes the they have to dial down the graphics a little bit. And just given the blocky, colorful nature of Lego games, I think could probably get away with doing a VR version of those pretty well.
Yeah, I reckon they could probably do that. That's probably a really good shout. Maybe send an email to Lego and see what they say.
If I can convince them to do it, I know you'll be buying one the next day.
Yeah, definitely. And I also, I know this is something you've been playing as well, but I finished Unravel yesterday, which is a little kind of indie platformer game.
Yeah, that's a cool game. I mean, you're this little yarn guy, and you have to navigate through the outdoors on a bit of a quest, right? And you have to use your yarn to rappel between obstacles and get over creeks and move around this world.
Yeah, there's also you may not have seen this, but kind of some of the later levels, you get to the point where you have to be very efficient with your yarn as well. Otherwise, you can't reach the next checkpoint. Mm-hmm. So you then like have to kind of double back on yourself and untie some knots that you've tied to make sure you can actually reach the checkpoint. So yeah, it's kind of a combination between kind of fun platforming and puzzles, and it's just a really, really nice game, and it looks beautiful as well.
Yeah, it's a really well done game. I think I picked it up last summer, I believe, pretty early on when it first came out. And I haven't played all the way through like you have, but I've enjoyed playing it. It's just kind of one of those very mellow games that you take at your own pace, and like you said, it's a combo platformer puzzler, and I like the puzzles. They're really clever. Yeah,
there's especially when you get really stuck and I get frustrated and I go get a drink or something and come back, and then I realize how to do it, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's me that's the idiot. Like I should have noticed that straight away.
Right. Yeah, no, it's interesting. It's definitely an indie game, but it was published by EA, which isn't really known for supporting indie games. So it's kind of nice to see a big publisher like that, taking a risk on a game like this.
Yeah, definitely. And there's been some talk that apparently there's going to be a sequel in the next year or two. So that'd be pretty nice. I'll definitely grab that when it comes out. Now I know that I like it.
Mm-hmm. Have you, totally switching gears, have you started watching Westworld yet?
I finished it.
Oh, good for you. I feel like I'm going to go back now and rewatch it, because did you listen to the Reconcilable Differences where Merlin and John Syracuse talked about it?
Yeah, I did.
That was I thought that was really good discussion of the show, and there was so much that they talked about that I feel like I missed when I watched it the first time.
Yeah, did you know that there was the after credits scene on the last episode? Because I didn't.
On the last episode, no. I think they did that on maybe not all the episodes, but several, and I saw some of them, but I didn't see that one. I should go back.
I didn't realize there was any. I thought it was only on the last episode. I feel like I've missed a lot of stuff.
I'm pretty sure that it's on other ones too, although I might be wrong about that.
Well, I'm gonna have to go back. Like you though, I feel like it's the kind of show I want to go back and watch from the beginning again.
Yeah.
We'll avoid spoilers because that's unfair.
It's still pretty fresh and new. I was not into it after the first two episodes. It took me a while. I mean, if you are thinking about watching, give it at least 3 or 4 episodes before you abandon it, because I was not that impressed with the first episode, and it took me a while to after hearing more people talk about it, I thought, all right, I'm going to just keep going a little bit further and see if I get hooked. And I got hooked pretty quickly, but it took at least a couple of episodes.
Yeah, definitely. I think that was about it for our media and things that we've bought. But it's CES week.
Yeah, and people are trying to come up with more things for us to buy, and I'm pretty sure that I'm not going to buy any of these.
I feel like this year has been the worst, like CES in terms of these stupid products. I think because like the Internet of Things is really taking off, and everything needs to be connected, including tea and your wine, and your underwear. We really have reached kind of peak. Just everything is terrible, and everything's got connectivity for no apparent reason.
Well, in order to get some attention, I think everybody goes to the extreme. I mean, did you see that laptop that picture of that kid holding that laptop that basically stretches from his neck down to his knees?
I did.
I mean, that's the biggest laptop I've ever seen.
Yeah, I'm not even sure what the point of it is. I mean,
Yeah, it's a gaming laptop, I think.
I mean, how is that any better than just a big? Well, I guess you've got to carry around the computer bit as well. I don't know. That just looks ridiculous. And the 3-screened laptop as well.
Right, that's from Razer, and that's a prototype. That's not actually being built yet. But and I'm not really sure how that works. Whether those side monitors fold in or what.
Yeah, I couldn't quite work out. I was just laughing at the ridiculousness of it.
Yeah, I think the one that most people latched onto pretty early was the Wi-Fi enabled hairbrush from Withings, which is now owned by Nokia. Yeah,
finally.
No, now and I feel left out because I just don't have enough hair to need this. I mean, it would probably the hairbrush would just mock me every morning.
I as you say, I mean, I think a lot of companies are doing it just for the attention because it's CES week and there's, thousands of press all just trying to find stories.
Yeah, why didn't hairbrush is on sale though? I got an email about it the other day.
Sure,
because I have a scale. I have one of their scales, which is I think a good product.
Yeah, well, this is what I mean. Like, this is what makes me feel like they're just doing it for the attention because, as you say, Withings actually do make decent products.
Right. Yeah, but theirs is on their website now already. So if you need, I think they call it like it's like a Wi-Fi enabled hairbrush coach. It gives you advice as you comb your hair. I think.
Right.
As you would expect.
I mean, surely anybody who's got the money to buy a Wi-Fi enabled hairbrush is probably old enough that they already know how to use a hairbrush.
Yeah, Owen told me that it tells you, it gives you advice about what hair products to buy.
Oh, sure. Yeah, that that sounds fine.
So it's synergies with the shampoo market.
Sure, of course it does. And
now
then there was the smart belt.
Oh, I didn't see the belt.
Yeah, I think it was called Welt, the smart belt, and it's supposed to manage calories somehow. I don't.
And I will point out that the underwear that you mentioned is not Wi-Fi enabled. It is designed to protect you by shielding you from cell phone radiation and Wi-Fi signals.
Right. Of course it is.
I'm not even going to go any further than that. Say other, it's just shielding your bits.
Yeah, perfect. I don't know. Maybe I'll try and get a ticket to CES next year. It sounds terrible.
It does. It does. I always feel bad for people who go to that. It just seems ridiculous. I mean, what was kind of interesting this year, I think the part that was useful maybe was that there was an awful lot of talk about Alexa and the Amazon Echo. It seems like everybody's trying to incorporate that from car manufacturers to appliance makers.
Yeah, that's definitely something that seems to be good that's come out of it. I mean, like a lot of the stuff I see at CES, I'm just hoping that some of it actually ships. Because I think a lot of this stuff, you see it and then it just fizzles out and that's the end of it.
Right. Well, I can't stop looking at this stuff.
Yeah, it's.
I'm looking at the solar hat that charges your phone.
Right.
It's a baseball hat with a solar panel on the bill and a cord that snakes from the back to your iPhone and I'm sure that it works for all smartphones.
Yeah, let's just leave it there. I think we'll pop some links in the show notes.
Yeah, we've got a good Twitter thread from the Internet of Stuff.
That's a very polite way of saying it.
That's not the actual account, but
no.
we'll show it to you. We'll link it in the show notes so you can check it out.
So I think that pretty much wraps it up for this week.
I know we were going to try to talk about Rogue One, but Rob hasn't seen it, so I can't talk to him about it. He needs to get his. He was busy playing Lego games.
I already went to the cinema once.
All right. Well, that was the last time I went. I don't know when I went. I guess I went. I think I went the first weekend it came out. I went on Sunday, not the first day, but I went a couple of days after it was out.
Yeah, no, in all fair, I was planning on going to see it. Jess doesn't want to see it, so I was just going to go by myself. And then I got ill the last few days of holiday, so I didn't really want to go and sit in the cinema being ill.
Yeah, if there's any time of year when I do go to the movies, it's this time of year because it's so darn cold and there's not a whole lot to do.
Yeah, but I don't think I'm going to go to the cinema and see it now, because I think it comes out on, I can download it and or buy it from iTunes or whatever in about May time.
Yeah.
So it's only a few months away now. I'll probably just wait until then.
Yeah, it's worth watching. I mean, it's not of the level of a regular, core Star Wars movie, but I like it. I enjoyed it, and I'd recommend it.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested in seeing it. But as I say, I'll probably just wait for the home video release and watch it then. So cool.
Right.
So show notes will be at ruminatepodcast.com/36.
Yep.
And you can find me on Twitter at RMNurseUK. And John, where can people find you?
I'm at John Voorhees, JohnVoorhees on Twitter, and my writing's at macstories.net.
Perfect. And we'll be back in a couple of weeks.
Sounds good. Talk to you later, Rob.
Bye.